Well, hello, Dan is here, and here you are in Essex in the southeast of the UK. So today I'm going to show you what I've sown already. So the temperatures here are relatively low. It's about 7 degrees C today, which is around 45 degrees Fahrenheit. So everything that I've sown already, I'm currently germinating inside on a south-facing windowsill to give it a nice warm microclimate for germination. So I'll start with Aubergine hot pepper. It's an early pepper loaded with fruit up to 1 foot long and 2 inches wide. So I've grown these before, and that's Aubergine hot pepper. I grew them not last growing season but the one before, and they're very nice indeed. The other one is lemon drop hot citrus pepper, a rare Peruvian seasoning chili, small yellow conical fruit, intensely hot and tastes strongly of lemon. Sounds fascinating. Long purple aubergine. So I grew these last year. I was very impressed with these. So I'll link a video down below on how to grow aubergines if you'd like to check this subject out in more detail. But it's a well-known long-fruited aubergine. We've chosen a strain maintained by the seed house of, forgive my pronunciation on this, Pieter Pixzonnen in the Netherlands. There we are. And Dourga, D-O-U-R-G-A, white aubergine. Sent to us by Jen Bonzik as the best and earliest aubergine she could find to grow on her small holding high in the Pyrenees mountains. The long white fruits are produced in large numbers and it fruits for ages. So chilies, peppers, aubergines, etc., they like a nice long growing season, so I like to plant them now. So relatively early still, but with regards to peppers, I sown mine in January last year. They did very well indeed. With regards to aubergines, I actually sown them a little bit later, around February time. In fact, the 17th of February is the date that I sown them on, but a little bit earlier, so 5 weeks earlier this year. So hopefully I'll be getting an earlier crop. Now, it has got to be said that with regards to these plants, they do like warm weather, and we're not probably going to get warm weather for some time, and we could end up with frosts up until, you know, mid to late May, depending on what the weather does this year. So a little bit of caution. But with regards to peppers, chilies, etc., I have a friend of mine who grows them year round on a windowsill because he doesn't have a garden, so no worries with those. And the aubergines as well shouldn't be a problem. So I'm going to show you now the way in which I've grown them. So I've got them in cell trays here of multi-purpose compost. This is home base. I get the majority of my compost from home base, and I'm growing them in these trays. These are in fact this is one windowsill propagator. What you're meant to do is have your seed trays, your cell trays, etc. in the bottom, like this green one here, and have this cover on top for an extra, like, greenhouse, sort of like an additional microclimate as well as the windowsill. But I've had good results to just grow them like this on a windowsill, and I water them using this, and I use water from the water butt. I generally have it inside for a while, so I'm not putting cold water on them. In terms of things like melons, when I grow those, I quite often use tepid water to initially get them germinated. So I've got one seed per cell tray, and then covered over with multi-purpose compost. Grown onions from seed this year, so I've got a variety here called Globo, large mild onion, a modern variety that we've chosen because it produces really large spherical onions with a particularly mild flavour. So good for salads, so it'll be very interesting to see, and they're also used for exhibitions, so it'd be nice to grow some nice big onions. So one onion seed per cell tray, so there are 30 individual cells here, if you will, and these are going to be once again placed on a south-facing windowsill multi-purpose compost, and be interesting to see how these do. Now, regarding germination temperature for peppers, chilies, aubergines, etc., about 25 degrees C is excellent. That's about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Quite difficult to achieve under natural circumstances, certainly out here in the polytunnel at the moment. So this is the reason why these are all going to be germinated inside on the south-facing windowsill. So I don't use any grow lights, I don't use any artificial heating or anything like that. Last year I germinated chilies, peppers, aubergines on the windowsill whilst it was still relatively cold. So you may consider using grow lights, etc. with regards to chilies and peppers. I've never used them. It might be something I get into in the future, but I'm confident these will germinate on the windowsill. And also, quite often, well, what happens when I put them on my windowsill, they are on the windowsill between the window and the curtain, so there's that cold void in between there, but doesn't seem to affect my germination rate too much. If you can avoid that, that would be good, but that's where I actually end up germinating the majority of my seeds during the colder months. So compost temperature, and this is an important one, because what I did, so I sown these actually all yesterday. They've already had one night on the windowsill, but what I do is I actually fill them up, or I filled these cell trays up for the day before I set them, and I gave them overnight inside so that the compost can warm up. You don't want to be plunging seeds into really cold compost and bringing the compost in the night before to warm up. Don't have to put in the cell trays. You could put it, you know, in a bucket and then use your trowel to fill them up when you plant. So another thing, when I do my tags, I like to put the date on. So these are actually planted on the 9th of January. I put the variety, long purple, and I also put what it is. So people sometimes ask me what marker pens I use, and I use these Sharpie fine point permanent marker, and I find that as long as you get it, you know, nice and thick when you write it, it actually lasts all season. So very good way, because it's nice to know what you're growing and to keep records of when you grow it, so you can reflect on that in following years, etc. So I'll show you what I did last year. Now, with regards to chilies, peppers, aubergines, etc. So I've got hot citrus peppers here. Now these will probably be about this sort of size, say within the next 2-3 months, something like that. So I don't want to leave them on an indoor windowsill for too long. So I want to get them out of here, or out in here, as soon as I possibly can. So got some polystyrene boxes here. So 2 or 3 months time, highly likely we'll still be getting frosts, so these plants will not tolerate that. So what I'll end up doing is repotting them into a pot about this sort of size. This, interestingly enough, is an avocado that I grew from seed, and this is tolerating the frosts out here lovely. So there we are. But so that'll then go in there, and you put the lid on. And then what I can do during the day, if it's not too cold, is take the lid off, and then at night when the frosts come, put the lid back on. That way you can avoid legginess. So a little tip that certainly worked very well for me last year. So there we are, you've seen what I've sown already. Now I might end up sowing some more. I'll probably end up sowing a variety of chili called Basque, which I did very well with last year. I also grew California Wonder, they were very good, and Mini Red. What else did I grow last year? Check Early Aubergine, that was a very good one, so maybe over the next few months I'll put some more of those in. So yes, I've sown these relatively early. You really don't need to stress about, you know, sowing things too early. I like to start sowing things like this because I like to see something growing away in the windowsill. It makes me think of the gardening or allotmenteering season to come. So, but you really don't have to rush out and do this now. The peppers and chilies, etc., you could set them next month. You could even consider planting them in early March as well. Just remember that these do not tolerate cold weather. So if you end up with big plants like this, you know, if you sown them say last year and you've got big plants like this and you want to put them out now, then you're really wasting your time, because unless you protect them, the frost will get them. There we are. So anyway, let me know what you've sown. I'm quite interested, so comment in the comment section below. Loads to come on this channel. I really will be rocking and rolling with regards to sowing, probably around March, April time, so loads to go. Anyway, if you like the video, please feel free to share it. You can like it if you wish, and subscribe if you'd like to be notified of when I put up any further videos. As always, thank you very much for your time.